I became a supervisor 40 years ago. I think I was 26, 27 at the time.
I've been involved with soil water conservation districts since the middle 90s.
And I think I probably by now have attended over 500 district meetings.
Been a district supervisor since the early 80s, probably 80, 81.
I have been involved in conservation and environment probably my entire life.
Conservation districts matter because there is so much at stake.
They've been a key component of what's been done out on the landscape.
What I think is so cool about soil water conservation districts is we are local. We understand local people. We identify local resource concerns.
Conservation districts matter in the same way that soil matters and water matters and air matters. It's the baseline. And those people who live on it, who share it, who care for it, who are concerned about it, and who are impacted by the results sometimes of nature, sometimes of man, sometimes by wildlife, all of those things are significant in terms of going forward and deciding how best to put forth things. And it is not one way.
Having had the opportunity to serve as a national president in this organization, probably the most humbling part in that journey was the opportunity to travel across the country and truly talk to the experts. The experts are those districts across the country. They live and work in those communities. They have a passion for it. There is such a diversity of the conservation needs across this country.
Conservation matters a great deal because it's the future for all of us.
I mean, conservation, I guess, it matters because it's making us all better stewards of the land, making sure that there will be a legacy for our children for years to come, for generations to come. You know, if we don't conserve, protect, maintain what we have now, they won't have anything.
And so sometimes you have to experience the worst to appreciate the best and the absolute need for conservation. And it doesn't just affect the people on the land, it affects the cities and actually the health of the country.
To me, conservation matters because of stewardship.
We don't own the land, we're caretakers for the next generations. And so if we don't do the best job we can, then it doesn't, even better than we think we can. This valuable resource won't be the same resource for the next generations.
We took on a message some years ago that every acre counts. And it doesn't matter if it's covered through a non-permeable surface or if it's a grassland or woodlands. Every acre in this world has an impact somewhere or another. And without some guidance and direction and support from multiple entities, we cannot impact this world going forward. And conservation is that method.
And so, in my opinion, conservation to really become long-term and sustainable needs to be driven from the local area on up instead of trying to build something, a national platform, and go the other way.
NACD is a driving force in working with all these different organizations such as the Department of Environmental Quality, the Department of Natural Resources, and the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, the Ag and Forestry at the state level, and at the same time EPA at the national level.
It's the national voice for all of those farmers who can't make it to Washington, who, you know, can't leave their little farms and go to Washington, D.C., but they're our voice. And that's the value of NACD.
because of NACD, I've been able to travel and bring back information and gain insights, what's happening around this country.
You know, they're our mouthpiece in Washington, and it's so critical that NACD is there to, you know, just to let people know that we're alive and kicking, and we have, you know, opinions on what needs to be done.
The biggest thing to me, the reason that NACD exists is to help conservation districts do on a national level what they can't do for themselves because of their local influence. Though the NACD can get tremendous things done.
NACD matters because it supports those kinds of grassroots organizations. And I think that that's imperative to get the message out, to have it filter down to the local group. But it has to come from, the leadership is important at the national level.
We think our job is to carry the news, but it works in reverse. We have to carry the news back. And that means taking a good hard look at what is out there and where is the shared information and where is the need for education and where is the ability to recognize how significant and how quickly you form bonds between people.
Anytime somebody ever comes to a national NACD meeting, they're just in awe. They can't believe what all there is to learn. And not only is not what's at the meeting, it's the sharing with their counterparts in other states and learning. And invariably, if you can get them to come once, they're going to want to come again.
I think anybody that wants to get involved with NACD should get involved because you're making a better world for the future.
I think it's the only way that each state has the opportunity to have a voice on the national level.
You should get involved because you are part of something greater than yourself.
If we don't show people the importance by what we do as property owners, farmers, ranchers, foresters, we have an obligation to the future owners or caretakers of those properties to be good stewards.
We've probably impacted, and hopefully will continue to impact, more people than we ever realize. And that is humbling for somebody that's been involved in this organization.
And that is why our leaders, just about 75 years ago, knew they had to join together.
The more you get out, the more you get up there and involved on a national level, you will find that your problems are the same as everybody else.
We never know what a difference we'll make for other people.
When you're at the NACD, it's just a large family because everybody that's coming from their home state has the same perspective, more or less, than you have.
I mean, I live in the middle of nowhere, 50 miles from the nearest store, and in a very dry, arid place, very rugged. Through NACD, I have a friend that's a cranberry grower right outside of Boston. And how different could we possibly be?
I think it's a great milestone, the 75th anniversary of NACD. You know, I'm hoping to be a part of some of the activities myself in that, but I think that's truly a great milestone, which is a good opportunity to tell the world all the good things conservation districts have done on a local level.
I think the legacy of NACD is going to be how well we can, you know, keep conservation in the forefront, you know, on the national level. I think that's where it's going to lie. If we can constantly keep the, you know, thought of conservation, natural resource conservation, you know, in the forefront, you know, as they put together the Farm Bill and so on and so forth.
I think we have more respect in DC than we did 25 years ago. I think there are, you know, folks that appreciate what we bring to the table.
We need to be there so that we can forge a partnership with them, so that we are unified and we can support their efforts to fulfill their regulatory responsibility, and we can fulfill our responsibilities to making them aware of how we can be a willing partner and a very contributing partner to all these local environmental concerns that's facing this country of ours.
This is one of the most important things, because I think the legacy of NACD is as a bridge builder. To me, this is what we do best, is we connect people that otherwise would not get connected. And I think that is critical for our future.
We've got to constantly be looking, you know, to get leaders to follow in our footsteps.
We need to find ways that we allow for new ideas and new ways to do things and new demands to enter in, so that we can continue to represent the people on the ground.
Whether it's conservation, education, environment, economics, we need to have the next generation have an opportunity to have a better world than the way we found it.
Our legacy is how to solve these new environmental challenges and do it in a locally led way and from this grassroots up, and it really makes a difference.
Just getting out from the state that you're in is so essential. To understand what somebody else is doing, living with, what the problems are.
We need to recognize, with respect for the differences, we need to really understand that we have a commonality. We should not lose sight of that commonality.
Remember why we're all here. We're here for the districts back home.
We're going to go away from conserving and more into the future to actually making soil, water quality, and air quality better than what it was before. And I think our legacy is we've come from protecting things to actually making things better for future generations.
And so it's made me think, what do I want my legacy to be?
I think the future looks good for NACD because we are addressing environmental issues. Not only are we addressing environmental issues, but we're also helping to protect the resource so future generations will have the opportunity to produce the food and fiber and energy that the world needs.
The biggest thing that I've come out of my time with NACD is a wonderful, wonderful people that I know all over this country. You know, at one time I could go to any state. Now, we're talking 20 years ago, so a lot of the guys that I was with, unfortunately, you know, have passed on, but I still know multiple people, you know, around this country, and still have some dear friends, dear friends in the conservation movement. And so that's, you know, if you want to be around the best people in the country, you know, be involved with NACD.
The greatest memory is the people. I've worked with some of the best volunteers, employees, staff, whatever you want to call it, all the way through.
My favorite memory isn't over. My favorite memory is the sense of belonging.
And I've just been in awe of the talent and stuff, and these people have come from different walks of life and from all over the country. And just to be part of that is I'll carry with me to my grave.
I am so proud of all the people who have been involved with it. And I'm glad I had a hand in it too.